Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leankor's Transforming Manufacturing Project Delivery. My name is Emilio Bernabei. I'm the CEO and founder of Leankor. And I'm happy to have with me John Billings, the general manager of SunCo Sunspaces, who's been a longtime customer. And he and I are going to hand off back and forth and have a good discussion over the next hour or so in this webinar and be very kind of collaborative. We're going to discuss how really manufacturing companies like John's company, SunCo Sunspaces, have really transformed how they do work and how they deliver products and services to their customers, and how to really apply digital transformation to their business to really compress cycles and increase customer satisfaction. So a bit about Leankor. We were founded in 2013. We specialize in customer-centric enterprise work management, and you'll see what we mean by that later on in the webinar. But we really try and understand and work with customers like John, and really try and bring solutions that help marry to the way people actually work, whether it be using different methodologies of working or individuals, teams, team-based collaborations. But what Leankor does is try and specialize there, and we have some really iconic companies as customers: SunPower, which is a subsidiary of Total SA, Sanofi Pasteur, billion-dollar company, Verizon, Fortune 500 telecom company, different companies of all shapes and sizes, but we tend to specialize in manufacturing, industrial manufacturing type companies. Me personally, I've been in tech almost 30 years, 20 years in both consulting and high-tech companies in Silicon Valley, Vancouver, Canada, Austin, Texas, and now here in Calgary, Canada, Calgary, Alberta. And I've really kind of dedicated my whole career to looking how companies manage enterprise work across different departments and geographies, and how to bring geographically dispersed teams and people together to really achieve transformative results in their business. So that's me. And what I'm going to do now is kind of turn it over to John and let him talk a bit about his company and him, and go from there. Take it away, John.
Thanks, Emilio. It's a pleasure to be with everyone here today. A little bit about SunCo. So we've been in business since 1999. We're a Manitoba-based company, and we're committed to serve our customers both morally and ethically. And we believe that building a better way is more than a tagline, but it's a philosophy that we carry out through every part of our business. Over the past 3 years, we've grown to include 6 dealers, and we produce about 100 sunrooms to 150 sunroom projects per year. I started with this company in 2014 in business development role, and I come from about 20-year career in finance, sales, and different various startup companies. And what I brought to the table for SunCo was I've been using Salesforce and various CRM platforms for since about, again, the mid-90s. And yeah, I live in Manitoba. I've spent the majority of my life here, and I'm married with 4 kids.
All right. That's a great intro to our next slide. And John, why don't you talk a bit about the key business changes in your environment and some of the key issues that really drove toward looking at some sort of enterprise class solution that really helped you?
Sure. So as I mentioned, I started with SunCo in 2014. When I first walked in the door, they were still doing things that I call the old-fashioned way. They were still using a lot of pen and paper. Sales was handing paper contracts over to administration. Administration was translating those into various programs like QuickBooks for accounting, etc. And then we were handing those paper copies again onto our factory and then onto the actual dealers or the producers, right, the installers. And one of the first things that I did for us is I focused on how do we get an actual system in place where we only have to enter that information once. Something that anyone, regardless of what department they're in or what role they're in, they can access that information that they need when they need it in a way that it makes sense to them. So from that, I investigated a couple different options. And that's when we decided that Salesforce was going to be our best bet. So the platform itself is robust enough that we were able to customize through various custom objects, visual force pages, and those kinds of elements to incorporate every single component of our business in one place.
Awesome, awesome. And one of the things that on the previous slide you were talking about was trying to bridge between these different silos. And here at Leankor, we spent a lot of time looking at these different teams that would have to come together in a company like yours, John, and really some teams were really bought into this whole agile framework, especially some of these engineering teams. Others were more from manufacturing that were more Lean Six Sigma, and they wanted more of a lean visual board for managing the flow of work. And still others, they liked the good old-fashioned Gantt charts and timeline views. Maybe talk to, how important it was for allowing different ways of working in your company and how you leveraged, digital technologies to help that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you hit it right on the head. The various silos in every company. So for us, we have sales, administration, accounting, we have production, we have install, we have service departments. And what has ended up happening is because of how we were doing business before, everybody was only operating within their own realm. They had no idea what the other hand was doing. And unfortunately, what it also caused was a lot of miscommunication. So we had to figure out a way how to bridge all of those gaps. And at the same time, we're bridging a lot of experience gaps as well. Our vice president of production isn't the most computer savvy guy. So he needs to be able to quickly and easily understand that information the same way that the IT support person does. And finding those commonalities or that solution to us to make it user-friendly for everybody and increase productivity was one of the key decision-making requirements for us.
Absolutely, absolutely. And really when you're looking at what John's talking about and you're discussing with different VPs and different team leaders how they wanted to manage their particular team, some, like on the left, again, more technical teams might buy into this agile framework where they have sprints and they measure things not by hours or days, but they might use story points and things like that. Well, Leankor supports that, and your solutions, whatever solution, whatever digital transformation you apply to your business process, whatever tools you use, should really allow for, on the left-hand side, you can see here agile Kanban type methodologies that some teams might like because it's more visual and it's more akin to a sticky note on a white dry erase whiteboard, very easy for business users to understand. And then on the far right, you might have teams that are used to maybe Microsoft Project or Oracle Primavera, these different tools that more have timeline views. And then you have this hybrid of, well, these teams that are helping drive these manufacturing projects or drive some of these projects, they have to link together. So these teams have to link their work from your agile Kanban view, perhaps to your waterfall or Gantt chart, and that's the middle here showing the hybrid that any solution that you look at really needs to provide when you're trying to really automate the end-to-end flow. And one thing, John, that we like to talk about here at Leankor is this whole idea of visualization of project data, and maybe talk about how your lean journey, Lean Six Sigma, and how Leankor's visual nature kind of married with your methodologies for manufacturing.
Absolutely. So we were a lean company. We were put through the paces by a lean green belt who was also in our employee at the time. And we put all the processes up on the wall, and we had 300 some odd processes. And what was happening, as you mentioned earlier, when we were working in silos, each one of those departments were creating their own processes. And by able to visualize it up on the wall, we saw how many of those processes were being duplicated, triplicated, and often quadrupled in our company. And it was creating a huge waste of time and resources. So one of the things that we really need to see happen is if we're going to manage these projects and manage them well, it needs to be in a format that everyone can understand. And let's face it, we all know visualization is the easiest format to somebody to pick up, to grasp, and more importantly, to know what's happening and what the next steps are. So when we took a look at the Kanban card and compared it to how we were currently managing projects, we realized we could save an easy 3 to 4 hours per day from one department, one person's resources. and extrapolate that over our entire company, and it would equate to hundreds of hours saved easily. And those hundreds of hours, all they were doing was moving something from, one slot in today's calendar and moving it 2 days down the road. Well, now with the Kanban scheduling, because somebody can quickly and easily view where a project is at, what its next steps are, and what steps it just completed, along with the notes and the chatter fields and everything else that we have incorporated into our Salesforce platform, it just makes the managing a project so much easier and way more efficient. And as any manufacturer knows, the more efficient you can be, the better your profitability is.
Absolutely, absolutely. And unlike a lot of other tools out there, we really spent a lot of time working with John, understanding how these Kanban cards needed, for example, you see here stickers on them for visual awareness of supervisors where the issues are. You can glance at a Kanban board, very quickly see stickers on top of the card showing issues. And as John mentioned, you could see very quickly there's an ongoing discussion between different teams that may be in different cities, but they're all connected through the cloud and mobile and having a discussion on a certain order. And you can quickly see that these cards are linked to various other business processes, visual boards within the organization. So what you really need to do when you're thinking through these Kanban boards is selecting partners that will digitize and bring a digital revolution to your manufacturing process, but really adhere to some of these decades old maxims in lean visual management and really help your company propel forward. And so, with that, as we start building up and you might have 20 or 30 or hundreds of these Kanban boards, how do you see the forest for the trees? And maybe, John, you could discuss a bit about different key performance indicators in your process that you used, and a little bit about contractors and dealers and how they got real-time visibility.
Sure. So for our key performance indicators, we basically have probably four key areas that we want to focus in on. The first one is our manufacturing, the second one is our dealers, and then we have the installers, and of course the overall company itself. So one of the things that we did for this is we took the key performance indicators for each one of those areas or segments in our business. Okay? Then we combined them with how we're using our Salesforce communities, various licensing and different approaches that way. And we needed to put it into a format that everyone could understand. Because of the Kanban cards and its ability for us to do reporting, and as you just mentioned, being able to link it to various objects within Salesforce, we are able then to produce individualized reports or dashboards for that individual. So our vice president of production has a board specific for them, right? And that dashboard shows them the key performance indicators that they care about the most. Things like production per hour, defects per million opportunities, right? The things that really matter to them. When it comes to our dealers, they also have access into our Salesforce environment, and it's been customized towards them. They're concerned about what is their revenue, right? Where are their costs? Where is their production calendar right now? Are their installers being overwhelmed, right? How many square feet per hour is that installer actually achieving? Are they achieving the results that they need to? Or do they need to look at bringing another team behind them and supporting them? So by combining the Salesforce, the communities that we've built and the custom work that we've done there, along with the Kanban and the Leankor elements, we're able to really tailor the results and the requirements and the reporting tools necessary for each head of the department to manage and, more importantly, be effective in their line of work without having to spend hours going back and forth and asking various people where they're at with different projects. It's an instant view.
Yeah, that totally makes a lot of sense. And really, when you have a cloud platform like Salesforce and Leankor here, and you're applying it to your situation, with Salesforce communities now that allows, it's basically a web portal for third-party companies like contractors and dealers to come in and take a look and really integrate what they do to deliver your products in the field to your customers with your internal business process Did you guys find a lot of value in that interconnection, that almost like supply chain automation through this kind of web portal?
Yeah, the web portal that we've been able to develop within Salesforce gives us the turnkey business in a box for our dealers. Regardless of their skill level or their history or their business acumen, they're able to basically take all the systems that we've created, all the objects within Salesforce, and jump right into it. All we have to do is provide them, and even our training right now is done inside here through a learning management system. And it's all interconnected, it's all tied together. So having the ability to communicate from the upper level of management at SunCo down to our dealers, down to their install teams, and everywhere in the middle gives us that flexibility and an agility inside of business that is pretty unheard of for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, that totally makes a lot of sense. And, like a lot of this is really allowing the interconnection, as this slide kind of shows, of sales and operations. And so again, like John was saying, you're starting with that base of Salesforce as that business cloud platform with automation, collaboration, now having something called Einstein Analytics that provides all business intelligence, and in the future, there's machine learning and artificial intelligence built right into that platform, and it's allowing us to use configuration, pricing, and quoting from a sales team through field service management. And Leankor kind of snaps in there and allows John to really automate the end-to-end process. And again, connecting this community cloud there, like he was just saying, allows for really that last mile to your dealer network or your supply chain, and allows for that full integration of the entire value chain, and really helping drive margins, driving growth of your business, and allowing you to compete better with competitors. And on this next slide, John, maybe talk a bit about how you're trying to make sure that, yes, the CRM has all your customer information, but now how is having Leankor and all your contractors and dealers and everything in one place, how's that allowed you to really take your business to that next level?
Well, at the end of the day, it's all about scalability. And the one thing that stops most companies from being able to scale is how do they transfer that information from one person to the next, and then from that person to the next one and the next one, and so on and so forth. So one of the things that's really important for us and a key component of our business and our growth is having that single source of information. So whether you're looking for the custom color that customer ordered, to when is it being manufactured, where is it in the factory floor, to service cases, it's all right there. It's in one spot. So, we've all played telephone, right? We've all played that game as a kid. And a lot of us were doing that in our businesses, and we were absolutely guilty of that. And having the ability now to put in information in one spot, and regardless of who's accessing that information, especially when it comes to the Kanban, because various people, one person will love the Kanban card, the next person will love the Gantt chart, right? Even though it's the same information, it's displayed uniquely to them.
Yep,
and if
exactly.
a change happens on one, it happens on the other. They don't have to do anything. It does it for them, right? Being able to provide that for our dealers, for our employees, and for our dealers' employees gives us a scalability feature that I can train somebody in minutes instead of having to spend days, if not weeks, on.
Totally makes sense. And that visibility, at all levels really removes roadblocks before they occur until after. And again, everything's all in one place, so you get the executive visibility, like you said, different ways of working. Folks can see a portfolio of all the different ongoing manufacturing lines and what's going on with the delivery to the different customers. And the forward planners looking 2 or 3 months out can see capacity planning constraints that might be occurring once you start stacking up from your customer system, all the different orders that are flooding into your operational plants and whatnot. You can see it all in one place, and it really helps, helps folks understand, see the forest for the trees, really, and understand the forward-looking capacity. And really, this is all about embracing digital transformation to really help folks leverage technology and leverage the cloud, increase adoption, of different folks in your company that want to be interconnected, they want to collaborate, they want to do the right thing for the company. And this removes the silos, gives them tools to allow them to collaborate almost naturally, either mobile, Android, iPhone, mobile, iPads, different tablets in the field, all the way to the head office folks or satellite office folks. And to that end, John, can you talk a bit about a lot of the customers I talk to, especially in manufacturing, industrial manufacturing, B2B, they always talk about their current state. They might have Oracle ERP, SAP ERP, different tools they've installed on their laptops, and they have a file server or SharePoint somewhere, and they're sharing files all over the place, project files, Excel files. What's the, should they be afraid of the cloud? And if not, like, what's the real benefit that you guys saw when you looked at, should I go to the cloud or should I continue to invest in my on-premise solutions?
Absolutely, and I'll try not to get myself in too much trouble here with the owners on this one. But when I first walked in here, they were very afraid of the cloud. They had an IT personnel that was extremely experienced and really didn't trust anything that he couldn't physically touch. So they spent thousands and thousands of dollars on in-house servers and an infrastructure that will carry us for the next 50 years, right? The problem with that is that technology is changing so rapidly, right? When I first entered the workforce, it was all about having the server room running and all your files were there and they would never go anywhere and they were safe and they were protected. As my career continued to grow and the cloud got more and more robust and more prevalent in today's business environment, it was evident that in order to keep up with the changing times, you either have to or be willing to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in upgrades over decades, or be willing to investigate what benefits are available to you in the cloud. So when it comes down to SunCo, we still have our servers in our room that still retain customer information. That customer information, though, is everything from before 2015, right? After that, everything was put into the cloud. And one of the biggest benefits, of course, that we have is that we don't have to deal with server malfunctions. We don't have to deal with upgrading hardware. We don't have to worry about, well, what happens if I put 10 photos from a customer's house instead of 5 photos, because I'm starting to max out my space. The other benefit that we have from it is the infrastructure is so much easier to manage. When it's in the cloud, it's often a single logon. You can control visibility and security within your organization based on the rules that you can set up within it. And I know and I'm confident, regardless of where I am traveling in the world today, I'll be able to access every piece of information I need from any mobile device. So for us, it means a huge increase in productivity. The thing that you have to weigh and balance against are potential security concerns. And as long as you're dealing with reputable companies that have history, that have security protocols and everything else in place, and you manage and follow some of them on your own as well, then you can be confident that your information is going to be secure, and more importantly, your business can continue to function and function best in today's business environment.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, and I'm sure part of your thinking was, well, Leankor is this early stage company with really innovative technology, but it's based on the $75 billion company's massive platforms. Salesforce.com's really turned into a cloud platform way beyond just a customer system, hasn't it? It's more of a development platform. You could build almost anything on it.
Yeah, one of our big things too is technology and server maintenance and everything else changes, right? We had Linux servers installed. Well, now it's very difficult to find somebody, especially any kind of recent grad or anything like that, that's ever worked with that technology. So now we're in a position where even though it was top of the line equipment when we purchased it, it's obsolete today. And to find somebody who knows how to work on that equipment is exceedingly expensive.
Absolutely.
So we're at a disadvantage again, whereas when I'm dealing with reputable companies that work on the cloud, that's your problem. You figure that one out, not me.
Exactly. And all this kind of comes together to kind of allow companies to really link all the business functions and get ahead of the competition. I mean, it's very competitive out there. You're getting all the visibility across all the levels of their business process. Faster decisions are made because everything's connected. everyone's working toward the same core business processes, same goals, and it really allows things to come together. And I think, as kind of a final discussion point, the results that you've seen, John, like the results of being able to integrate through Leankor, through Salesforce, integrate all your different components. Maybe talk to and remind the listeners again of some of the key, return on investment type metrics, key KPIs that you're able to improve.
Sure. So to give you the kind of 30,000 view of what's happened since we've implemented Leankor and Salesforce and everything else. Number one, our business intelligence has gone through the roof. We have information at our fingertips now that would have taken us days to gather in the past. And that information is, again, available to me wherever I am in the world, off my cell phone and through an app, right? The other thing that it really helped us on is our productivity. So when it came to the factory and scheduling projects and scheduling jobs and that, we were averaging anywhere right around the 90-day mark from a customer signing their contract until their sunroom was delivered. And then that's kind of the industry norm right now. Over the past 2 years, ever since we started to hone our processes with various tools such as Leankor and Salesforce and that, our delivery time now is actually 40% better than any competitor. So we can actually, from point of sale to delivery, is typically within 20 to 30 days. So it's given us a huge competitive advantage while being able to maintain quality and everything else. And that was part and parcel being able to visualize all the processes and seeing where we were doubling our efforts, right?
Yeah, it's so correct. I mean, like that transformation of your cycle time is unreal, like 40%, and it's a testament to you, John, and what you guys have done to really use technology tools and use digital transformation, not as just a cool phrase out there or as a fad, but you guys have actually taken it to heart and created, key business results that go right to your bottom line.
Yeah, like at the end of the day too, we were able to actually increase the skill set of a lot of our employees. So in the past, we had a project manager who is coordinating between sales and installers and customers. By using this various tools, especially the project Kanban calendars and those kinds of communication tools within that, we were actually able to eliminate that position. So we were able to save an entire salary from somebody that all they were basically doing was pushing papers and pushing items from one side to the other. Now, because of the technology that we have and having it all wrapped up into one resource, sales and install are communicating directly. They don't need that middleman anymore. The installs, even though they're not quite to the business acumen yet, they're able to visualize those projects, and we were able to put it into a framework for them that they could easily grasp and connect with. So we went from being on site an average of 4 to 5 days down to 3 days.
Wow. And part of it is, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, and part of it also is using these lean visual techniques and technology like Leankor. You're able to actually increase the capacity of existing folks too, aren't you? Like, it's not just necessarily cutting positions and stuff. It's actually your same team can now do X% more of their job with better communications, better visibility, and better handoffs through digital transformation.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not about reducing staffing or anything else. It's about moving them on to that next level. As we grow, we open up positions that we didn't know that we would ever need. But now that we have those holes there, we need to move people forward into those holes. And I can't do that if they're stuck pushing paper from one side of their desk to the other side of the desk. So being able to fine-tune those resources doesn't just save us on our bottom dollar. It actually helps build our loyalty and build our employees up into a position where they want to stay with our company. They don't want to go anywhere. We have very low attrition rate because once they're here, they want to stay here for life. They want to know what the next step is and where are we going, right? Especially when we deal with our dealers and they start seeing some of the success of our dealers and being able to integrate the customer side of this into the equation, right? If you're a customer and you have the option between getting your sunroom in 90 days or 30 days, that's a huge customer satisfaction point.
Exactly. And if you're a dealer looking at working with different companies that might be your competitors, but they come to SunCo and they see the ability to log into a portal and collaborate in real time and update each other and see, how things are going in the manufacturing plant and everything, you're most likely going to go with SunCo because you're seeing, 21st century type attention to customer satisfaction.
Absolutely, and of course, mitigating that kind of growth and that speed of growth against errors is huge, right? Just because you can grow fast doesn't mean it if you don't do it well. And by being able, as you were showing earlier, those different reporting, that executive overview that we're able to fine tune and craft for each department, we're also able now to track all of our errors regardless of where they come from and what happened. And more importantly, we can report on what the fixes were. So we can make sure down the road that we don't start making those same errors, right? It's really a matter of understanding the entire business and how every piece of it fits together. And as great as technology is, it's worth nothing if you can't easily understand it across the board, right? Everybody has to be able to grasp it. Everybody has to be able to understand it. And that's where the visualization, along with that communication tool, is paramount, right? Being able to adapt it to each person's skill level and then being able to talk about it back and forth saves us hundreds and hundreds of wasted man hours every month.
Exactly. And that efficiency goes straight to the bottom line. I mean, on that note, I think that's a great kind of cherry on top of the cake here to migrate into the Q&A section, but I really appreciate your time, John. I think you hit the nail on the head with your closing notes there on how to really apply digital transformation to a manufacturing company and really have it, hit the bottom line results, improve overall employee satisfaction, customer satisfaction, and of course, all your business partners, your dealers and installers in the field. That was awesome. And what I want to do now is let the folks listening chime in with questions, and John and I will take your questions now. I think they're being typed in the side here, and we'll read them out and respond and go from there. We're just looking at the different questions coming in here, have them done in order. And I think, John, the first one's from you, from Franklin. He has a question. What's the biggest advantage of using Leankor over traditional tools for managing project delivery? That's for you, John.
Oh, thanks, Emilio, and Franklin as well for your question. I think at the end of the day, the biggest advantage that we've seen from using Leankor is the visualization. Being able to enter into a project or enter onto a screen and see all of the details, all of the moving parts, and see it visually in one area, not having to guess, not having to run around and get reports from the various departments. That's by far outweighs any of the other issues that you can experience when you're trying to work with different technology and that. So for us, it's having that source available to us, being able to see it quickly and understand it even faster.
Great. Okay, and then there's a few here, so I'm going to try and go through them pretty quickly. Stacy says, how large or small does a team need to be to find the solution useful? And I think I'll take that one. Emilio Bernabei speaking here. And, really, Leankor is in use today by medium-sized companies with around 500 or 600 employees. We're in use today by Fortune 500 companies with tens of thousands of employees. What we've found over the years is that once you start getting teams of, let's say, 15 to 20 folks across multiple departments, and that's the key. It's not so much how many people, it's once you have the cross-departmental handoffs between different teams, Leankor becomes more and more useful as a solution for collaboration and managing the flow of work. And we're in use in some installations with hundreds and hundreds of users logging on all day, every day, managing multiple, tens and if not hundreds of projects and workflows with those teams. So it scales fairly well from small teams to larger ones. But again, I think the big thing is multiple departments collaborating handing work off with each other is really where Leankor sings. The next one is Travis. This one's for you, John. Travis says he wants to know if SunCo was able to achieve the results around efficiency with purely using Leankor and manual processes and manual visualization of work and dragging the cards across Kanbans, or were there some automations you did to really supercharge it?
Okay, thanks, Travis. I'm not going to give up too many of my inner secrets here, but at the end of the day, Salesforce automation combined with Leankor automation has reduced dozens and dozens of manual processes. Now, the downside to it, of course, is that first you have to figure out what all the manual processes are, because in our case especially, we didn't even know what half of them were between all the different departments being siloed, like what we were talking about earlier. Once we were able to figure out what all the processes were, then we were able to take advantages of Salesforce through their process builder, their workflows, flows, and several other automation tools, and combine them with what we were doing on the Leankor Kanban and Gantt charts and everything else, so that they all interconnect now, and we have one source of entry that updates across the board.
Great, thanks, John. And John, I've got another one here. Just switching the order to group them in different categories. One's from Zach here. Zach wants a bit more information on the dealer portal. Can you maybe explain it to folks? I know you're not queued up to do a demo of it, but maybe you could explain the dealer portal and how it integrates with the overall enterprise work management system.
Yeah, actually, the way that we work is we use communities. So we have Salesforce communities, used to be partner licenses, I believe they were called. And what we've done is we've restricted visibilities and access rate and various security controls in there, so that although everyone's accessing that same community, they're only seeing the information tailored and specific to them. So everything from sales details, we run our LMS or our learning management system through there. We use Chatter for various ways of communicating to all of the dealers at once, to all of the installers, individual departments, and then to corporate and head office as well, all within there. So it's really an all-in-one system. It did take a little bit to figure out how we can combine everything. And more importantly, how we could make sure that, you know, one dealer isn't kind of spying on another's dealer's jobs, right? But at the end of the day, the little bit of legwork and elbow grease has really made for a smooth system that is 100% scalable. We're not limited in any terms as far as users or what the system can do for us.
Great, thanks. Yeah, and in my experience working with John and other customers, the phrase I hear over and over again is crawl, walk, run. And you put in any system, it's not only Leankor, you put in any system, train your folks, and then over time you'll see where there's handoffs or enterprise workflows where you're looking at Leankor and thinking, okay, if I automated perhaps, excuse me, the indication of some business issue with real-time stickers or real-time visual controls that they talk about a lot in Lean Six Sigma and Lean Visual Management. Let's do that next, and let's start layering in these different automations. But with a lot of our customers, they start with a very unautomated process, and they move slowly towards full automation. I'm looking here at one here. This is also for you, John, from Victoria. She would like to know how long did it take for SunCo to become familiar with using this enterprise work management system instead of your old systems? Like, what was that like?
Well, that was varied across the board because we have different levels of people with different levels of experience, right? So there were a few in our company that were very comfortable with just using an old calendar kind of model. Once they understood how a Kanban card system works and they were able to understand the visual flow of things versus just a calendarization, it was minutes, right? But it's really a matter of making sure whenever you're doing any kind of organizational change or change management in that regard, that your users have buy-in from day one. You know, even though we decided as a corporate team that was going to be the best direction to go, we still put it out to everybody to get their continual feedback throughout the entire process. And that way, then when we were ready to launch it in our real environment, we already had that buy-in from all of our employees and from our dealers and that. So it made that transition period a lot shorter than it would have been if we had just said, okay, here's the new system. Good luck, everybody.
All right, great. Thanks a lot for that, John. And looking at the list here, we have one from Stanley. I think I'll take this one. It's about Salesforce and Leankor. He asks, does Leankor require that you have Salesforce before you can install and use Leankor? And Stanley, the answer to that is unequivocally no, you don't require Salesforce first. We have what's called a OEM arrangement with Salesforce, where the technology of Salesforce, the global cloud of this $75 billion company, it underpins Leankor for the scalability and integratability into different systems. So you get all the benefit of that. But if you're not currently a Salesforce customer, Leankor can still provide you a turnkey solution because we're an ISV partner of Salesforce's. If you are a Salesforce customer, it's a single button click to install into your organization, into your org, as Salesforce calls it, and away you go. It can fully integrate with your Salesforce system. Now, of course, the benefit of having your customer data and your customer relationship management system with all the customer touch points already fully utilized, the Salesforce.com Sales Cloud, as they call it, already installed and organized. When Leankor hooks into that, you can now fully integrate from quoting to customer delivery to customer support, all the way to, as John has done, into your supply chain and your dealers or installers in the field, and have it fully integrated in one cohesive, reportable platform. So there is that benefit, but you don't necessarily have to utilize the Salesforce CRM to get the benefit of Leankor's enterprise work management platform. Okay, and I think I have one more question here. Oh, there was one question regarding whether Leankor provides in-house training for employees, or do we use partners for that? Now, for larger corporations, we partner with Price Waterhouse, Accenture, Deloitte, but for medium-sized and small organizations, we do work with them to provide number one, usage training of the key functions of Leankor, how to do reporting, how to get analytics out of it, how to get real-time flow of work handoffs between different teams using Kanban. We'll consult with you on whether Kanban's more applicable to a work management situation, or maybe if you're using waterfall project management, our Gantt chart capabilities. And there are capabilities to link Kanban cards directly to Gantt charts. That means linking a business process team using a Kanban board to manage your process of incoming flow of work. But those cards, those visual cues, can link to an overall delivery project using our built-in Gantt chart. So there are different ways of working there that we allow, and we just depending on the size of the engagement, again, we'll either work with a third-party consulting organization, or we also provide a certain level of both product training and also consulting on the best ways of using our product in use. And I think that pretty much wraps it up. I'm looking at the list here. I think we've answered most of the questions. If we didn't get to your question, we'll for sure be following up after this webinar and send out the answers to you. But again, I really appreciate the time that John has had with us. John, thank you very much for your time on this webinar. And we'll be sending out links to the recording to everyone as well. And you could forward that on to folks that might have missed or might be interested within your organizations. Thanks, and have a good day.